everyone, and I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my orchid adventure right here in my garden with who else but me, Maria Young. Now, I know you guys have been wondering, why in the heck have I not been giving you guys any tours of my outdoor garden? Why in the heck have I not been giving you guys updates? Well, to be quite frank and honest with you guys, I have been going through so many frustrating moments in my orchid life, okay? I am telling you, I have never experienced so much in orchid growing as I did in the year 2016. That was some of the most darkest moments. And even though I didn't let on half of what I was going through, I'm telling you, I went through almost anything that an orchid grower could go through. I was going through it, and anything that could go wrong absolutely did. It almost became hysterical. It was like a comedy show, except I wasn't laughing. And yeah, I was on basically the brink of crying my eyes out. I was brokenhearted. I felt helpless. I didn't know what to do. Some of the things that I was researching and trying out wasn't working. And again, I had never gone through this before. So I was like a chicken with its head cut off, just running here and there and everywhere and not getting anywhere, folks, okay? But I have to tell you, even though it was one of the most darkest moments in my life as far as orchid growing, I have to tell you also that it is one of the most beneficial times in my life as well, because indeed in the year 2016 I did learn so much. I mean, it really made me get into my books. It really made me get online and do my research. It really made me contact all my friends and other orchid growers that I knew of and respected to get the needed information that I needed to have in order to succeed and accomplish and conquer the things that I was going through. Dealing with, of course, thrips, dealing with fusarium, dealing with root rot, dealing with hurricanes and excruciating temperatures such as frost. I mean, I've been through a whirlwind of circumstances in the year 2016. Now, one of the most beneficial things that I did learn is to always be vigilant, always be mindful, always do your inspections, and know exactly what's going on with your orchids. When you see something going wrong with it, don't just make up excuses and not address the issue or find out and dig deeper exactly what's going on, because a lot of times if you sit and you wait until later, sometimes you'll find that it is too late by the time you do find out exactly what's going on. So again, be vigilant, be mindful, and also be prepared. One of the best assets that we have, the best tools, is knowledge. Being prepared with the knowledge and knowing exactly what's going on and what to do in those circumstances. Again, do not wait until it's too late. Find out all that you can while you're not going through it, so that you have the time to prepare and take action when the time comes. I went on a binge about trying to find out all different types of diseases, all different types of insects, all different types of weather conditions and how it affects your orchids. And it really made me realize that, man, I mean, there is a numerous amount of things that could be happening to your orchids that you would not even know of if you don't do your research. And the best thing that we can do is preventative maintenance. Definitely doing all that you can while you can before it even happens. That is the best tool. And having all the knowledge that you can have in combating and in different issues that can go on, knowing exactly what you need to do, and also being prepared with the tools and the chemicals, whatever solution that you are going to treat your orchids with, have that on standby, even if you're not going through it, so that when you do go through it, or if you do go through it, you'll already have it right there for you, and you can take action right right then and there and right away. Remember, time is of the essence when our orchids are definitely going through these types of issues. And one of the things that I had to come to a realization with is just as long as I was trying to do the absolute best that I could, that means that there indeed is a light at the end of that orchid tunnel. So indeed, folks, the mission continues. I've been fighting hard, and I'm gonna go into detail further along in my other videos as they come, just to let you know some of the things that I had to put in place to combat a lot of issues that were going on in my garden. And one of the major tips that I can tell you is to definitely be vigilant, be aware, be mindful that as orchid growers wanting to have such beautiful orchids, we do have to put in the work involved. And either way, you're going to put in the work involved, whether it be preventative maintenance or it be trying to save your orchid's life. One way or the other, you're going to put in the hard work. So I would much rather put in the hard work maintaining and keeping my orchids healthy by preventative methods than, again, putting in all the hard works trying to rescue my orchids. So be vigilant, be aware, be mindful, do your inspections, try to find out as much as you can with every aspect of all the things orchid growers have to deal with, and don't wait till the last minute. Definitely be prepared in advance, know your stuff in advance, so just in case you have to go through it, you already know what you have to do to deal with it. And of course, have the proper tool, equipment, and also chemicals or whatever you're going to use to treat your orchids with. Have those already on hand as well, even if you're not going through it at that moment of time, because I can guarantee you, if you are a true orchid grower, at some point of time or another you will go through it, and it's better to be prepared than to be blindfolded and not know what the heck is going on, because that's when you're gonna really face some detrimental times. So that's my best advice to you. That's what I learned in the year 2016, and now we're moving on and we're progressing into the year 2017. So even though my orchids are still recovering, folks, I'm ready, folks. I'm ready, and I fully understand the mission continues regardless. And you know what? We're all in it together. Okay, so here we go now. Okay, so talking about the dreaded thrips insects, I have to tell you, I did not know exactly how devastating those insects can be and how destructive they can be to your orchid blossoms and blooms. I have to tell you, I lost a good 15 spikes. Indeed. I mean, some of them even fizzled out and never even came to bloom at all. So you can imagine how devastated I was, especially for the ones that were first-time bloomers, and I never even got a chance to see what they look like. And as teeny weeny as those little suckers were, oh my gosh, did they pack such a punch. Because not only did they destroy a lot of my orchids, but they did leave some devastating scars on my orchids as well. And this right here is one of my most beloved orchids. This is a Mimi Palmer. Let's take a closer look and see the remnant of the thrips. And as we take a closer look at the leaves of this Vanda, you are going to notice black spots all throughout the foliage. Indeed, and those are the devastating reminders of exactly how destructive these little critters can be. They will leave this permanent, ugly reminder that they indeed have been here. Also in the year 2016, we did receive some heavy outpour of rain. And if you listen closely, it is actually raining even right now. And because it rains so hard here in Florida, you may also find my garden littered with pots where my orchids have suffered from too much rain. And indeed, like this one right here, you will see this has succumbed to a complete breakdown in root rot. And with that being said, folks, because it is raining pretty hard, this concludes this episode. For right now, we shall be back when the weather's a whole lot better. Okay, folks, so the rain has died down a little bit, and I am right back out here, right back at it yet again, folks. Oh my gosh, I must really love you guys to be right back out here, even when it's still raining a little bit. But you know what? You guys are definitely worth it. But speaking of weather conditions, another thing that I have to admit to you, which I am very shameful about, I actually did not bring in my Vandas during this entire winter because of the fact that I was dealing with threats. I was just afraid of bringing those nasty critters indoors where I live at and with my other indoor orchids. So yes, they did stay outdoors and they did succumb to some pretty extreme conditions. So let me show you exactly what happens when they do that. So during the wintertime, even though it doesn't get too extreme here, we did get down to the low 30s. And when we did hit the low 30s, we did experience some frost. Now this orchid right here, one of my big ones, actually experienced it in such a bad way. Let's take a closer look. And taking a closer look at the stem area, near the axil where it is actually connecting with the leaves, you are noticing that browning and blackening area. This is actually where the frost has burned the orchid. And as you can see, it's all throughout this area right here. And the most devastating part about this is the fact that it extends all the way up to the top. And as you guys know, Vandas are monopodial, where they will grow from the tip top. Well, unfortunately, in this case, this is the tip top. And as you can see, the tip top has also burned out as well. So with this in mind, if this cannot grow at the top, there is no more growth that will come from this Vanda in regards to the height of it. Now we can only hope for it to throw off keikis or offshoots, where it then can begin to grow again and eventually spike. So this big orchid right here is a waste in its growth. I mean, wow, it has grown for so many years, and now we're gonna have to depend on little baby keikis to finally grow out and then eventually give us a spike. So it may be a while yet before I even receive a spike from this beauty. And going throughout my orchid garden, you will find that there have actually been several that have been affected by the freezing temperature. And if we take a look also over here, yeah, this is some of the devastating effects that it can indeed have on your orchids. All of the blackened, burned areas, even all the way up here too as well. But very fortunate for us, this gal right here, this double spiker, is quite a fighter, still giving us some beautiful blooms, even during the hardship that she has already endured. And during the hurricane season, I have to tell you, my orchids were absolutely beaten and battered. You will find that throughout my orchids there have been damaged leaves and also ones that have been completely broken where I had to cut them off. But even beyond the hurricane season, I have to tell you, that does not mean that the winds will completely die down, because it did batter my orchids yet again about like 2 weeks ago. And the ones that did bloom, such as this one right here, went through that process and it did beat them up pretty badly. This had a good, I'd say, 8 blooms, and as you can see, these pretty badly beat up blooms are the only ones left over. So yes, I will admit that growing my orchids outdoor can be quite a luxury for many, but also understand that we do deal with a lot of hardships as well, and it is quite a lot of work to try to grow our orchids in the most natural conditions as possible. But if you ask me, I do have to admit to you and tell you that I believe it is well worth it. Okay, so now that we've talked about the negative side of the things that I have had to encounter growing my orchids outdoors, let's talk about some of the positives. So here is an orchid right here, and this is evident of the thrips that affected it. But if we turn this orchid around, we will see that there she blooms again. So indeed, it is not over, folks. The beautiful journey has just begun, and indeed there is quite a beautiful light at the end of the orchid tunnel. And this right here is quite a similar case, but never mind that dead spike, because looking on into the future, you will see that indeed she has overcame, and here she is again in all her splendor as she blooms. And looking at the Secantharat right here, as you're noticing, the leaves have yellowed quite a bit due to harsh weather, but it is quite a pleasant surprise to see that all of her babies have gone unscathed. And what's even better than that, as a first-time bloomer, she too is capable of showing her quite stunning beauty. And because this Mimi Palmer crossed with a Thong Chai has fought so hard to persevere through her hardship, I thought it was well deserved that I showcase her yet one more time. Quite a double spiker, even after all that she has gone through. Indeed, bravo, pretty gal, bravo. And look at this little guy right here. Even this one, through its brutality, managed to bloom one gorgeous blossom through it all. But there's even more good news for the ones that have actually endured so much. On this Mimi Palmer crossed with a Kultana fragrance, you are actually going to notice that there are two spikes right here in the axil beginning to form. And more happy news on this Insignis crossed with a Denisoniana. If we pull back the leaf gently, you will also notice another forming spike. And that awesome news can be found throughout my orchid garden. So indeed, folks, the mission continues and we progress forward. I thank you guys so much for joining me on yet another orchid adventure. And of course, if you guys like this video, please be sure to give it 2 green thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to more videos such as these, please be sure to subscribe. And if you guys want to join me on my Facebook adventures, please be sure to do so at My Orchid Adventures right on Facebook. And as you guys already know, indeed, I love you guys all. Mwah!